Okay, this is the S&P Emini 500 trading setups that were available today, May 15th, Tuesday, using the process.com right edge trading system. Today we're going to see how, even though it was a non-trending day, here is the opening of the day today. So you can say that trading stayed in a fairly narrow channel of about 10 points. Even so, there were 3 trend trades that were identified that you could have taken. And actually, there's 3 contrarian trades that you could have taken as well. Actually, 4 contrarian trades. So let's do the easy lifting first, which is to just use the process trading right edge trading system, trend trading, which the way that you do that is you use the process trading VWAP. When it's gray, you can take trades to the short side wherever there is a timing alert dot, that's these blue dots, that is above the price bars. And the way that you do that is you enter it from the low of the bar corresponding to the timing alert dot. From the low of that bar, you put your trade order in 2 points away from it. In this case, 2 points below it. The reason that you do that is so that you're going to buy into strength and sell into weakness. In this case, all these trades were successful. Now, since the bar was, or the VWAP was gray, and we can trade the timing alert dots that are above the price bars, that says that these timing alert dots here were also available. But if you look at them, when you place your order entry 2 points away, you never get into those because price did not show enough weakness to get you into those. It's the same way here, and it's the same way here. It's the same way here. So that's how you buy into strength and sell into weakness. The other way that you calculate whether these trades are appropriate or not, although you can simply trade the trend trading system with the trade management techniques that we just went over, it's always best to correspond them with the discretionary non-correlated indicators that are below, which are used to take contrarian trades, and we'll see that in a second also. The main indicator you want to look for is the sentiment oscillator. You want to see that at the point that you're taking the trade, that the momentum line, that's this tricolored line, the momentum line is cutting down through the sentiment line. Another way to think of these lines, other than momentum and sentiment, you can think of the momentum as the impulse movement of price, where sentiment is more the conviction of price or the belief in price. So you want to see the momentum cutting through the sentiment line, and you can see that it cuts through the downside here. That's what helps us confirm and validate that this is a good and will be a good short trade. And you see that occurs in every downtrend trade that was identified. The other discretionary indicators are the Intergy, which stands for internal energy, where the green bars show demand coming in and the red bars show supply. The gray bars show weakness coming in. So here, in this case, you can see there was some demand, then weakness occurred, and then supply came in. You can think of the internal energy as a better proxy for reading the volume bars. Volume bars tell you very little, where these tell you a great deal on really what's happening to the movement of price and the impetus behind it. The last discretionary indicator that you'd use is the short-term trend oscillator. Now this oscillator is a unique oscillator. As you can see, it has an upper and lower band. That's the cyan and magenta line here. But you can see that it changes in volatility or width as price changes. You can see this consolidation going on over here, and you can see the price bands starting to close together. The other unique thing about the short-term trend oscillator is that this line is a pullback line, where price will often hit this line, it'll pull back to it, and then reverse. So this is in fact a pullback line, and you want to interpret it and trade it as such. So when price breaks through the pullback line, you can see it hit it here and started, it pulled up to here and then was going to start to resume, but it didn't. It broke through the pullback line. That, again, is one of the things that validated our trade here, because at this point, the short-term trend line had reached the upper bound and was now starting to slope downward. So with that sloping downward, with the trend starting to slope downward, the sentiment oscillator starting to slope downward, as well as the momentum and the energy coming out of it, it helped verify for us that this is an appropriate short trade to take using the trade management system that was outlined previously. The same occurrence happens with this timing alert dot and this timing alert dot with the same exact way to read it. I've kind of emphasized the sentiment oscillator with a little broader rectangle here, because that's the first one you want to look for. So those were the easy and natural trades to take, where no thinking and no real analysis is involved. It just makes money for you. The other trades are contrarian trades, where you have to use the discretionary indicators. Now, the way the contrarian trades work is that price, this band here and this band here are called the contrabands, or the contrarian bands. And price has to go through those bands, and then it's appropriate to take them. Now, price didn't actually break this band, but I'm just going to show this as an example as well. But price did come through here, it did come through here and over here. So once price breaks the band to the upside or the downside, in this case the downside, we're looking for a contrarian trade. We know that the trend is down because the process trading VWAP is gray. So we know it's a downtrending day, and we're looking to take a contrarian position to that. And you not only have to have price crossing the contraband line, you must get a timing alert dot associated with it. So let's say that that is one here. The next thing you look at is the sentiment oscillator. Just as it was important in your trend trades, it's exceedingly important in your contrarian trades as well. So the thing that you're looking for is that the momentum is coming up from the bottom and cutting up through the sentiment line. When that happens, price is going to go up. And we'll see that happen over here. That's why I say yes here, that did occur. And yes here, it did occur. Price went below the contrarian band. And now you have the momentum line cutting up through the sentiment line. And it's right here. So you actually would not take your trade until over here. And on these trades, you should set very tight stops. On these contrarian trades, they're very tight stops, but they have potentially a lot of reward. That's kind of different. The trend trades just go with the trend. And sometimes, as you know, the trend can go for 4, 10, or 15 points. Sometimes the trend will be very short and it'll only be 4 points. So usually on these contrarian trades, I like to say that if it's a contrarian trade, make it a scalp trade, because you're looking to make some fast money, and it's not always a certainty that it's going to be a trend. Now, because of the way today played out, yes, you did have some nice runs in your contrarian positions, but that won't always happen. And so I would only play these for a point, 2 points, 3 points, something like that. And then I might be reading the indicators to tell me, should I stay in the trade? And then you can take more points as well with your contrarian trade. In this contrarian trade right here, we say no, it is not good, because look right here, momentum did come up and it cut through the sentiment line, which is what we're looking for. We want that, but the sentiment line itself, very importantly, was sloping downward. It had just cut through the midline and it was continuing down towards the lower boundary. With this cutting down like that, that is not a trade you want to get involved in. As well, the short-term trend oscillator itself bumped up a little bit, but then was headed down. So this was not a good trade because the sentiment oscillator didn't tell you directly it was a good trade. It basically, except that momentum was crossing up through it, it told you it was a bad trade. So let's agree that it's ambiguous at best then. And so this is not a trade that you can get involved in. Here again, here's the trade. You have the price below the contraband line. You have a timing alert dot, so you can take the trade. And you have the momentum line cutting up through the sentiment line, and the sentiment line itself is either going parallel or actually it is starting to curve up. And you see the short-term trend line from over here started to cross the lower boundary and is sloping up. So this is a good trade, and you would have got into that trade right around this trend timing dot, this little yellow dot here. Over here, you have another instance where you can take a contrarian trade, but we say no, that you can't. And it's the same setup as your other no here. You look at the sentiment line, that's all important. It's cutting down through the midline, and it's still sloping down vigorously, even though momentum is cutting through it. Then we look to our short-term trend oscillator, and it, in fact, helps reinforce the story that, no, the trend is going down. So even though there was a little bit of momentum that bumped up through it, this is not a trade that you would get involved in for a contrarian trade. This one is a good contrarian trade, again, for the same reasons as the others. We looked, the sentiment line had come all the way down to the bottom, and now the momentum line is cutting up through the bottom, and it's cutting up through the sentiment line, and the sentiment line itself is starting to slope up, and the short-term trend oscillator had started to slope up, and over here it actually went green. So you would get into your trade somewhere in this area right here. So you can do the easy lifting with the trend trades where they're identified for you with the exact trade management technique to take. That's for selling into weakness. And here you have the contrarian trades where you have to be much more involved. But the main thing is you have to coordinate the timing alert dot with the sentiment oscillator. Also look at the short-term trend oscillator, and as well the energy, the internal energy. But of the three, the primary one is you must have this cross to take your contrarian trade. And as you can see, had you done that, you would have had, even in a day where it was kind of a consolidation day in a way because it went sideways after the open. It did come down from overnight, and it came down to here, and then it just kind of went sideways, and it vacillated up and down sideways all day, but you still would have came away with 3 really nice trend trades and 4 nice contrarian trades. So I hope that shows how these indicators work and how they identify the trades and you confirm the trade, and how to establish the trade. If you want to see these daily setups, you can subscribe, and then you'll get them every day. And if you want to see how the whole system works, there's lots of documentation and blogs and videos over on processtrading.com. So until the next daily money-making setups on the Emini here, hope all your tradings are successful, and I will talk to you then.